Welcome to Ask Evette episode. And guys, here today we have a question about hyperthyroidism and what are the psychosomatics of that? Hi everyone, Evette Rose here, author also of Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical ailments with the psychosomatic stress of that for adults. Just in case you guys don't know who I am, for those of you who are new. And guys, yes, of course, we also have a kids version, the psychosomatics for them as well. And we also have wonderful workshops coming up. We have a free masterclasses every single week where we tackle life issues and challenges and work through them together. And it's absolutely free and you can register at evetterose.com. And then I also have my intuitive body workshop where I'm going to be teaching you for 2 days how to read the body like a book intuitively. And then I also have my intuitive spirit guide workshops where I'm going to teach you how to meet your guides, work with them, do readings, and also how to find your own little healing modality within that as well. And then also how to read animals and work with animals. And then we also have our MAT level 1 healing course where I teach you how to heal trauma easily and effectively for yourself or for other people if you choose to do so. And you can always bring 2 friends and you get to come for free. We always have wonderful discounts coming up for you guys. So let's dive into this topic now. So the question that we had here was, could you by any chance do a video on hyperthyroidism? I have been struggling for years with increasingly swollen lumps in the front of my neck with my doctors, and they tell me that it's related to my hyperthyroidism. I would really appreciate some answers on the metaphysical aspects of this ailment. Okay, this is a great question. So let's dive into hyperthyroidism. So first of all, hyperthyroidism occurs when your body actually makes too much of the thyroid hormones, which is the thyroxine T4 and T3, and it becomes overactive. Now, if you have hyperthyroidism, you might experience like a fast heartbeat, increased appetite, anxiety, sensitivity to heat, and also sudden weight loss. Now, your thyroid is like a butterfly-shaped gland that is at the front of your neck, and it produces thyroid hormones called T3 and T4. Now, these type of hormones actually help your body to use energy. They help balance your body's temperature. They also help your body and your heart and also other organs to function properly. So some types of hyperthyroidism can also actually be genetic, like for example, Graves' disease, which is normally the most common cause of hyperthyroidism in the US. Now, it's also, for example, 7 to 8 times more common in women than in men. Now, thyroid is also now in hyper mode, and that means that it's overworking. Now, what that also means is that the demand for vitamin B1 spikes. It now goes up because B1 is also the spark plug that allows fuel into the mitochondria in the cellular factories to be converted to energy. And then the thyroid becomes connected to all the cells, especially the mitochondria. So we have this situation where we're now burning all this vitamin B1, and it's also now the deficiency of B1 where you get all the heart complications. So just something there to also keep in mind. Now, also medical contributing factors that we already briefly touched on is Graves' disease. Now, this is an autoimmune disorder that, for example, causes like an overproduction of the thyroid hormones. Then another one also is multinuclear goiter. Now, this is an enlarged thyroid gland, which is called a goiter. Now, this is now also an enlarged thyroid where, for example, like multiple lumps or nodules can actually now be observed. Then another point that we also have is thyroiditis. Now, this is an inflammation of the thyroid gland, which actually can include now a group of disorders. Another one now is then the thyroid adenoma. Now, this is, for example, a benign tumor of the thyroid gland. Now, if for this condition is now, for example, and this is very important, if this is not related, for example, to a properly diagnosed medical condition, and you're just having a thyroid reaction, which we sometimes can have. This is called like a psychosomatic ailment from what I have seen, especially with working with a lot of people. Sometimes people show tremendous signs of having certain ailments, but when they go for the diagnosis, the person cannot be properly diagnosed. And that's when doctors would call it a psychosomatic condition. Now, let's say that there's no medical diagnosis necessarily behind this. If we look at the psychosomatics alone, for example, GIST just alone if there is an absence of vitamin B1. And this can now slowly be the onset of a potential medically diagnosable condition. And what that tells me is that there is a lot of old stress that keeps being replayed again and again and again in the subconscious mind. But what now also happens is that this tells me that there's a state of heightened distress, like the fight or flight response within you is constantly triggered, it's active, it's activated. And that tells me that you're hypervigilant. You're very hypervigilant in your life because there is something going on that is unsettling you. Now, what can sometimes be frustrating is when we go into what's called a subconscious fight and flight. I'll explain that in a minute. That the body is feeling that it's on the lookout for danger, but it doesn't know what. Because it gets confused, because the body sees maybe, wow, the environment looks perfectly fine. What do I have really to worry about? But I'm feeling all these, these stressed reactions. Now, that normally tells me that there's a memory that made you feel unsafe, right? A memory that made you feel unsafe that is now being triggered. And this is being brought forward into the present moment, because also the reason why I say this is that the pituitary gland also tells the thyroid, for example, to produce the thyroid hormones that's needed for it to function correctly. Now, what that tells me is that there's a triggered memory from the past in relationship to feeling unsafe in your life, right? And there's now this deep need consciously in the present moment to be on the lookout, right? To be on the lookout to see if there's anything that could be a potential danger. So the body stays in defense mode. But your subconscious mind is recalling this memory, but consciously, there's no recollection of that. Right? This is called an explicit memory. It means that the body is biochemically reacting to an old memory due to a stimuli from your environment, and you're not consciously making the connection in relationship to the trigger that is taking place. And I say the body is biochemically reacting to this emotional stress because it can feel the memory of it. So that's why we feel sometimes anxious when we think, oh my goodness, I feel hyper, I feel anxious, and I have no idea what just happened. It could be that there was something in your environment that happened. Maybe there was a stimulational trigger and you thought of a thought, because listen, guys, we have at least 90,000 thoughts per day. You're not conscious of all of them, right? But some of them might have a very strong emotional resonance to it in relationship to unresolved trauma, emotional wounds. If that memory can come up, for example, in the subconscious mind, because it might have been triggered by your environment, but you don't have cognitive recollection of that, your emotional body can respond to that. And that means that the body's biochemical reaction is coming forward. You can feel the reactions in the emotional body, but you're not making the connection as to what the actual emotional reaction in the body is necessarily about. And this can be very frustrating, because now we try then apply all the wrong tools to deal with the problem that we have in our current life. And then there's a misfire because we don't apply the correct technique or the correct approach to the problem at hand. For example, it's like when you have anxiety and then you go end up drinking a bunch of glasses of wine, or you start smoking a lot. That's actually exacerbating the problems. It's better to actually try to deal with and find out what could the anxiety, as an example, be about, so that we can apply the correct tools. So guys, there you have it. Thank you so much for being here with me. And until next time, be the light that you are. Thank you guys for joining me here. And also remember to subscribe to our math membership website. You can check out so much more. There's so many free healing courses there as well. Go to evetterose.com, see all the free master classes and events that we have coming up. There's always something happening on our platform. And we love to hear from you for the Ask Evette episodes, but also for the psychosomatic patterns that you would love for us to talk about, especially when it comes to these books, the research that's in it. And there's so much to be learned and so much to be shared as well. So I love your questions. Let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what you would love me to address as well. Life challenges, it's endless. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. And remember to subscribe so that you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest videos that's coming out just for you. Until next time, be the light that you are.